Talk about getting ready for this week. What are you looking at?
I mean, this is a big game, obviously, because of where the position that we're in right now, in terms of bowl eligibility, and it's Boise State. It's been one of our rivals for a lot of years now, and they took one from us at home last year, so this is a big and very important game to us, and so just consistently doing the things that we need to do to prepare to win, watching tape, giving that little extra, practicing just a little bit harder, is all things that we're focusing on this week to prepare for the game.
Mentally right now with some of the leaders on this team, do you feel like there's any amount of just wearing down mentally in the score game losing streak, or how do you think like just the mental side of this is going for everybody on the team if you had to have a gauge of where everyone's at?
There's no mental wear down. There's physical wear down, obviously. People get banged up and injured getting late in the season, but no, mentally we're here every day studying and preparing to go win football games. And so, we're mentally there's no drop off. Right now we're all locked in and to go and play Boise State. This is a must-win game for us. To kind of get this up and down season back on track. So
I talked to Clark and Jeremy. I talked to the coaches. Analytics is huge in coaching decisions.
Sure.
They talk about the book and trying to look at different things, numbers and go by that. Do you pay much attention as a player to those types of things, like the numbers and what they might be the coaches might be using them for, as far as the analytics go? And
Sure. I mean, we use those a little bit because it factors into our game plan.
Right.
For us, it's not so much looking at the analytics itself, but how it's molding the game plan a little bit. So, if that answers your question, it's kind of more how it affects us a little bit. So you have to look at it because the scheme changes based on those analytics and. When do they do this? How many times do they do this? What fronts do they run? What blitzes do they bring? All of that stuff factors in to the game plan, and so indirectly and directly it affects us. So yeah, we look at it.
It's something that I don't know if fans understand how much the coaches put in, and they have
hours,
staff that,
hours and hours
just to try and look at those things
Yeah.
and figure out tendencies and all of those stuff, and then you guys have to take what they see and then apply it from what you're saying. And so to me, it's a fascinating element that maybe people outside the program don't understand in the same way you guys do.
Yeah, it's a majority of our time. You can only practice physically for so long, right? Or your body will just beat down. A lot of it's the mental game, the mental side of the game, especially for me as a center, knowing what's going on, what fronts they're going to play, where they're going to be before it ever happens. And that comes from studying the analytics, watching the tape over and over and over again so you know this defense inside and out.
Well, one of those areas is fourth downs, and obviously last game, a couple of them didn't go the way. In fact, this season it's been hard with the fourth downs.
Yeah.
And a lot of those, A-Rod was saying, have been long yardage, trying to get back in the game type of situation. But Ed was talking about how that's a big deal for the entire team because the defense has to be ready to go out. Offense is trying to stay on the field. What are those moments, both good and bad? Because you've been on both sides. You've been on when you make it and when you don't make it, and they're following the book to do that. But what are those moments like?
Those are really important moments in the game, and so that's where you have to be at your very best. And unfortunately, on two of those fourth downs last week, we weren't, and they defended it well. But at the end of the day, we have to get the job done, and regardless of what's called, it's the responsibility of the players to execute it. And if you don't execute it, there's no one else's shoulders that it falls on except for us as players. So.
Where's the confidence at right now for this offense?
We're confident. We've played in a lot of kind of strange games this year in terms of situations we were in, play calling, how things were going. I mean, I'm sure A-Rod has mentioned that to you guys. It's just been a little bit of a weird year offensively, but it was good to establish the run last week, get us back in the 240 range in rushing yards. Because that, as an offensive line, that's our responsibility, and so that gives us confidence to go in and try to establish a run against Boise. And when you can do that, it kind of opens up the passing game. And so we're confident. We're confident right now.
Coach A-Rod said that blocking against Boise is huge because of how they run their defense.
Yeah.
What's that like to prepare for, and how fun is it to prepare for that?
It's a lot of fun to prepare for because Boise State is it's a lineup, man-on-man type defense, one-on-one. Who's going to win? Us or them. And so it's going to come down to a lot of individual blocks. Who's going to strain the hardest to win their individual block? That's just kind of how they play defense. It's how they've played for a long time, and they've been successful at it. So it's a lot of fun to prepare for because it's a lot of, who's going to win, basically. Are you going to beat your opponent, or are you going to let them beat you?
The game within the game.
Yep.
Connor, I was here late, so maybe
No
you can
worries.
ask, but as far as losing your spot in the lineup and then gaining it back, what was that journey like for you, and how did you win it back?
Well, I mean, it sucked, but it was. There's nobody to blame but myself. You know what I mean? And it's kind of hard to have those moments where, at the start of the year through fall camp, I was playing at a really high level, and against the Notre Dame game, I just didn't play well. And it's not been a secret from the start of fall camp that we have 8 guys really in our room who could start at multiple positions. And so the second you're not up to par, your spot's up for grabs. And it's been that way across the board since the start of the year. And that's what you want. Just focusing on doing your job, doing your 1/11th. And I think I got away from that a little bit and was worried about too much and other things. And it cost me my spot, obviously. But to be able to work my way back into the lineup and to be able to play well last week against ECU was really good for me, because it kind of just, sometimes you need those moments, kind of little lighter to your butt, just to kind of get you going a little bit. And I'm an idiot for putting myself in that position, but in retrospect now, I feel like my game's been taken to a different level because of it.
And then finally, Kingsley got that holding penalty. It looked like it was behind the play.
Yeah.
Is that just the sort of thing where a defender can kind of trick a ref to,
Sure, they flail and they do things right on defense to try to draw calls, but when you're because a lot of times you don't, especially in like protection, when you have a mobile quarterback, you're not 100% sure where he is all the time, and so you're just trying to sustain your block and trying to just play hard. And then, sometimes maybe you grab a little bit too hard as they're trying to run away, and they catch you for that. And so it's challenging sometimes, but, I think that was as sucky as it is in the name of effort, trying to sustain his block.
Anything else?
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Connor.